Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores coming to y'all with the official injury report for this game coming up this Sunday against the Broncos. Who's going to play, who's out, and who's questionable. Definitely going to break all of that down. There's some interesting updates on both sides for both teams. Of course, like we always are, we're the team that's a little bit more hurt, but the Broncos also have a few key injuries as well. And before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Also, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos. And I've already done a full preview and breakdown on how the Washington football team can beat the Broncos with 5 matchups, 3 X factors, and my score prediction at the end. So make sure you go check that out as well. And without further ado, let's get it. All right, so like I said, our injury report is definitely worse than theirs as far as injuries go, because we already know rookie 3rd round wide receiver Dyami Brown is still out with a knee injury, never participated in practice all week. Neither did Curtis Samuel with his groin injury, and star right tackle Samuel Cosmi, also a rookie, didn't participate all week, and he's out with his ankle injury. And honestly, on the bright side, I do feel like we'll get a lot of these guys back after the bye week. Remember, we play the Broncos this Sunday, then we go on a bye week, and we have 10 days to prepare for the Buccaneers. And I feel like there's a good chance that we may get Samuel Cosmi back, Brandon Scherff back, Logan Thomas, and a lot of these guys that are banged up will probably be more healthy heading into that matchup as well against the Buccaneers. So at least that's the slight silver lining in all of this, but it is ugly that we're going to be without 2 of our top at least 5 receivers again, and our franchise right tackle in Samuel Cosmi, who's a rookie, but before he got hurt, he was already looking like one of the best right tackles in the NFL, especially against the run, and he was getting better against the pass every week. And then the thing that scares me a lot as well is the fact that tackle Cornelius Lucas suddenly had an illness on Friday, so he's questionable for the game. But like, that's really scary because Cornelius Lucas is Samuel Cosmi's backup. So who's the backup to Cornelius Lucas? Is that SAAHDIQ Charles? And the Denver Broncos have some injuries to their D-line, and we're going to talk about that soon. But like, no matter how hurt their D-line is, SAAHDIQ Charles is very unpolished so far, and he's unproven, and I'm definitely nervous about him starting at right tackle if he ends up starting at right tackle going into this game. That definitely is something we need to watch for. If that's the case, we need to run play action bootlegs and roll Taylor Heinicke out to the left almost every passing play. Do not just sit firm in the pocket, because I like SAAHDIQ Charles a lot. He has a lot of talent, but he hasn't had a lot of time and reps to really nurture that talent and develop it and work on it. So last time we saw him in the preseason, he didn't look too good. And then this is a pretty good Denver Broncos defensive line. Again, they're banged up. Some guys may be missing, but still, I mean, throwing SAAHDIQ Charles out there to start, first of all, SAAHDIQ Charles starting, like I've already said, but then who's the backup to SAAHDIQ Charles then? If SAAHDIQ Charles were to get hurt, we haven't seen him stay healthy for an entire regular season game yet. So if he gets hurt, who's the backup for him? So it's definitely starting to get into a slight panic mode as far as the offensive line. Again, luckily the silver lining is if it seems like we may get all of our starters back over the bye week, but we'll see. Speaking of the starting offensive lineman, Brandon Scherff is also questionable, but it may not even be worth it to rush him in. You might as well just wait till the bye week and bring him back after that. Don't want to make the injury even worse. And then William Jackson and Cam Sims may be returning to the field this week. William Jackson missed last week. Cam Sims has missed every game since the Falcons game. He got hurt in the Falcons game, and both of them may be making their returns this week against the Broncos. We'll see how that goes. And then luckily for us, Antonio Gibson, Danny Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Wes Schweitzer, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Jack Sternberger were all full participants and are full go to go. Some of those guys may be banged up, but Terry McLaurin, I mean, he basically had like a rest day on Wednesday, and then he's just full participant all week. You can tell he's pretty much 100%. And even Antonio Gibson, in the clips I've seen in practice this week, he actually looked a little bit healthier, and it looked like his shin was bothering him less this week in practice than it has since he injured it a few weeks ago. So if anything, Antonio Gibson should be healthier going into this game than he has been the past few weeks. So that's good to know. And then Wes Schweitzer, I mean, he's already our backup guard to Brandon Scherff. So the fact that he had a neck injury worried me, but he was a full participant in Friday's practice. So let's go. And then the Broncos also have quite a bit of people on the injury report, but most of them look like they're a full go. Outside linebacker Malik Reed, tackle Garrett Bowles, quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, linebacker Baron Browning, wide receiver Tyree Cleveland, outside linebackers Aaron Patrick and Jonathan Cooper, and defensive end Shelby Harris all look like they're full goes. They're ready to go. They're fully loaded as far as that goes, because they've had a lot of linebacker injuries throughout this season, and it seems like a couple of the guys are getting back healthy for this week. But then you also have Von Miller, who's missed a few weeks, and now he's questionable. He didn't participate in Friday's practice, so I doubt he plays. He didn't participate at all, and it was kind of like if he practiced even a little bit on Friday, maybe he goes, but I don't think he goes. I think they just go ahead and hold him for another week to not risk it because they really need him. Then safety Jamar Johnson was limited on Wednesday, didn't participate on Thursday, and then limited Friday. He's also questionable, so we'll monitor his situation to see if he'll play. I think him and Von Miller are not very likely, but we'll see. And then also nose tackle Mike Purcell with a thumb injury is officially out. So the Denver Broncos have one guy out, and then the two guys that they have questionable are actually pretty likely not to play. Whereas on our end, we have three guys out, and two of our questionables are likely to play, and then Brandon Scherff, highly unlikely. I mean, it's just not even worth it. And then Cornelius Lucas is just a coin flip at this point because we don't know. The illness came out of nowhere on Friday, so we really don't know. We may not know until Sunday morning whether or not Cornelius Lucas is even playing. So that's definitely something to monitor, and I'll definitely update y'all on that in the live stream right before the game starts so we can know what we're working with going into this Broncos game. And this Broncos game is really interesting because, first of all, both fan bases are looking at each other's teams like this is our chance to bounce back. The Broncos started 3-0 and have gone on a 3-game losing streak. We were once 2-2, now we're 2-5. So we're all in a losing streak, and both fan bases are looking at each other's teams like, hey man, we could bounce back against the Broncos. But the Broncos fans are also looking at us like, hey man, the Washington football team, that could be our bounce back game right there. So this is really interesting. We're going to truly see who's the worst of the worst. Like I already gave y'all in my preview video, Bleacher Report has the Broncos ranked as the 18th best team in the NFL. We're the 27th. So of course we're technically underdogs. But if there were a team that we could beat out of all of these teams we played recently, it's the Broncos. And then, I mean, I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot, but he's not an elite quarterback, and elite quarterbacks have been killing us. Like, even when our secondary does have good coverage, we're just having elite quarterbacks throwing passes that every quarterback can't make and having receivers make catches that not every receiver can make. And the Broncos have a very underrated receiving group, especially with Jerry Jeudy returning. That's a big one. The fact that they get Jerry Jeudy back scares me a lot. But again, for our Washington football team, it's so nice to finally not be going against a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. I mean, golly, man, this schedule's been a little crazy so far. And then also another thing that people may not think about is that this altitude thing is a serious thing. Like Ron Rivera already talked about Denver's high altitude. He said, quote, there's a study that tells you that the elevation doesn't really get into you until after 24 hours. We're trying to go on that science. Hopefully that's what it is. Again, we'll have oxygen on the sideline. We'll have all of that stuff. And so, I mean, that kind of worries me because that doesn't sound like a confident, we have a definitive plan. We're just going off of like a rumor or a hypothesis, a theory, whatever you want to call it, that it doesn't affect you until 24 hours. And that's a very convenient number because why would it just work in exactly 24? So I don't know. Hopefully everybody's good though. They're going to have oxygen on the sideline. But like you also need to watch out for the fact that Terry McLaurin even talked about in his press conference that he's asthmatic. He said that he should be fine and he's been working on things to make sure his breathing's going to be good for this game. But a lot of people really underestimate how playing in Denver really affects how people play football. They play there all the time. They live there, so they're used to it. Whereas us going there or any opponent going into Denver, man, that home field advantage is crazy for them. Also, just to bring SAAHDIQ Charles back up and why you should worry, SAAHDIQ Charles has only played 6 offensive snaps since drafted in the 2020 draft in the 4th round. just to let y'all know how dire the situation could be if Cornelius Lucas is not ready to go. But yeah, man, definitely get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please like this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. As always, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel. A special shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now, man. I really appreciate all y'all. I'll catch y'all later. Catch y'all Sunday. I'm out.